Good afternoon, Quasar Markets Live. This is your host, Howard Greenberg, here to bring you to the end of the day. Here, take a look at what we've seen. Not been a strong day overall. As we can see, the SPY's down about 1.04%. Let's go to my side screen here. You can see SPY down about 1.04% on the day. Volume pretty light, about 19.88 million shares. Normally you see about 55.48. So we are seeing people, as Steve and I talked about earlier today, sitting a little bit on their hands, waiting for NVIDIA to report. NASDAQ down about 1.5 points. And again, lighter than average volume. So lighter than average volume across both of the biggest indexes. Here, let's take a look at the charts. Do see here over the last 35 minutes or so, SPY starting to catch a little bit of a bid. Was trading down in the 556 areas. Right now trading at 558.58. Broke its way back into the bottom of the hourly linear regression. That's usually a pretty good sign for a move back up towards that mid spot here. So we could see it try to take a run here towards 560, 561, which would be around the high of the day. So we do see a little bit of life coming back to the SPY. Same, we did see support at 468 pretty much hold up here for QQQ, which is an ETF that tracks the NASDAQ. And another one that broke back into the bottom of the hourly linear regression here over the last hour. See if that continuation follows into the after-hour markets and into close, and then the after-hour markets. And when we talk after hours, we do know one thing we're all talking about, right? NVIDIA. They have earnings after hours today. Question on the street is, what will they say? Let's see what... Interesting. We're seeing that the semiconductor index is at a 2-week low ahead of NVIDIA's results here. So the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index fell 2.5%. I'm sure that SMCI can't be helping that. So that's interesting. Now that all could change in a matter of seconds, as we know, once NVIDIA starts to list. Tesla similar, Snow similar, Crowd similar. Apple was showing a little bit of better performance. Dow trying to break back to even, down about 0.5% here. Again, another one that broke back into the bottom of the hourly linear regression here. VIX continues to increase, although it had gotten up all the way to about 18 before dropping down. That's up about 10% today. Again, volatility been the key word of the day. More than a concerted move to the north or the south, we've seen a decent amount of choppiness move us back and forth, but provide some volatility during that time. And again, Nordstrom's, who reported good earnings last night, jumped up nicely in overnight hours, pre-market hours, then really spiked up to 23.24, back down around 21.78, so giving away about half of that gain. On the opposite direction, same thing. PVH, which is Calvin Klein, Tommy Hilfiger, had worse expectations or worse performances in their quarterly review. Opened up way down, around the 94.41 mark. Now has jumped back up to 98. So regained about 5% of that 12, 13 point loss. Kohl's another one. Kohl's had good, good earnings report. Saw some solid pre-market, got up as high as 21.16 before dropping down in 1974. Coming down to the lower side of the margins. Same thing, similar to PVH, we are seeing Foot Locker after taking the big beating on the missed earnings and also on lowering end of year numbers, starting to rebound. Still down about 10%, but we had seen that down as low as 27.37 before. Smuckers. So the ones that got beat up, again, as I mentioned to Steve, what we had seen a lot of lately. Oh, here's one that isn't, so we'll come back to this in 1 second. We'd seen a lot of those buy the dip mentality in the right, companies. They're really bouncing back. On the other side of that, Abercrombie, you can still see continuing to slide down here. Did get as low as 134.49 right now, about 136, but down about 17, almost 18%. Same thing, Temu, Chinese retailer, e-commerce, not showing much of a recovery yet here. Box on the other side of that has been able to kind of hold up here in that 31.25, 31.50 range. We've been able to maintain that so far. Bitcoin trying to move back up to 60K here. Has struggled today trying to get above 62.50, so that remains to be the bigger one to watch today, 60,250. And then lastly, seeing some signs of life from SMCI here after getting hit hard in that short seller report yesterday. It had been down as much as 30% at one point, now down about 19. And again, it moved from under 400, right around 395 to 441. So it's picked up about 10 points, since 12:30 this afternoon. Those are what we're looking at here as we go into earnings. Let's see what else is going on in the news that I'm seeing here. 10-year is slightly up. 10-year Treasury to about 3.845. So we are seeing that climb a little bit. DXY, let's see here. I have that right here. DXY 101. Pretty steady throughout most of the day. Crude's trading at about 74.62 a barrel right now. So again, that's down about 1.2% on the day. Gold at 25.42, that's down about 0.5%. Bitcoin, as we talked about, down around 4%. So mostly red across the board here. Seeing that Mizuho Securities wrote in a Wednesday client note that they see interest rate cuts spurring a 2025 reacceleration in real GDP, and that 2.5% to 3% inflation will be entrenched in the economy at that point. So they do see things turning around in the right direction. A little bit of talk here about how tech is sort of leading the way, whether that way is up or down right now. What we are seeing is that tech is sort of driving the bus here. See a little drop on the VIX. Had gotten as high as 1789, now down 1722. So a little pullback there. So your SPY's tiring out around this 472 spot here. 472.25 would be a key spot to watch there. Let's take a look at the Quasar site. Let's take a look at what our biggest movers of the day are, our biggest gainers of the day. BOF. Don't even know what that is. Oh, Branch Out Foods. We did talk about that a little earlier. They had done some refinancing. They took off. Part of that is that Branch Out Foods said Wednesday expects second half sales to double from a year ago, on track to eliminate outstanding debt by Q4 of next year. Explains their move up. Nvidia almost 300 million in volume today. See anything out of the ordinary there. Most of the ones you expect to see. Micron showing a little bit of movement today. I haven't looked at that chart. Let's give that a look. Down about 3%. So we are seeing most of the tech stocks down about 3%. So we'll see if Nvidia can turn that around today. Let's see what else we have in news. Seeing negative mentions on Nvidia here on Trading Pulse, Meta, SMCI to the big side, Foot Locker. Okay, well, that is going to do it for us today at Quasar Markets Live. Folks, stay safe out there. Good trading.